What's up YouTube, Mambuna Marcus here. It's been a while since I've given you guys an update of my fish tanks. This is my fish room where I keep most of the tanks and fish. Not a whole lot's changed since the last video. A lot of the fish that I have are still here, but you know, everything's growing, and basically, you know, with these types of videos, it's an update on the progress of how things are coming. So let's go into the fish room. And I guess we'll talk about the 135 first. This is my, it's not really a display tank, it's mainly a holding tank. I have a lot of African cichlids in here. Some of the species I used to breed on a regular basis. And like I said, now I've used this tank as basically a holding, grow out aquarium. No specific purpose for the tank. As you can see, there's a lot going on in the aquarium. I have a number of different catfish species, some loach species, and obviously a large assortment of cichlids. So as you can see though, I'm gonna scroll in on this guy. This guy's finally coming into his own, starting to develop some confidence. He's a massive clown loach. If you guys have seen in some of my old videos, I had a trio of some massive clown loaches. The largest were about 10.5 inches. This guy's even larger. I would say that this guy's probably close to 12 inches and is no doubt the biggest clown loach I've ever seen. He was very passive, very well behaved, but now he's starting to become, you know, he's starting to come into his own, which is good. He used to just sit behind that rock. I'd come in and you'd never see him, but now he's starting to take a little bit of dominance and is now a little irritated with some of the other fish in the aquarium that he's sharing it with. So it's good to see that he's developed his personality, and he's not, well, he was never being abused, but you know, he was very uncomfortable and very shy. So to see that those traits are going away, I'm quite happy to see it. Some of the other loaches, here's my Bordomori loaches, a little more elongated, and it's a real cool loach. Again, them and like the varieties of tiger boteas, I find whenever you put them into a new tank environment, it's like they almost go a little bit on a hunger strike until they really become accustomed to the tank's conditions and hierarchy. These guys are doing well now and they're starting to eat well. It's a fish that once it starts eating well, it will put on some good weight. So like I said, they lost some weight in the beginning, but are now starting to do quite well. And I look forward to growing these guys out. If you've ever seen a large specimen, they're quite colorful and also very comical. A little bit of everything. My red tiger. I have two females on reserve here. Looks like she just got into a spat with my female Maison Reef. My Maison Reef zebra male. This guy's quite a nice male. Doesn't show a whole lot of interest in the females, unfortunately. And any of the fish species that I've kept that I've basically gone out of my way to grab, I always try to keep a reserve of everything in stock. So, you know, the Maison Reef zebras were very hard for me to get, and I always intend on trying to keep at least a male and some females, and if I can get the odd batch or brood from them, I tend to grow out some of the babies and hold on to them just in case something happens to my main stock. So anything that I purchase, I always like to have another line, and a lot of times that line I will keep or grow out in a separate aquarium. As you'll see, I do have a very dominant up-and-coming Maison Reef zebra, and he's beautiful. I believe this guy came from Malaysia, and it's nice because he's obviously pure. You know, sometimes when you're buying fish out of Asia, you know, they'll indicate or mark them as a certain species, but then when you get them, you get something else. So this guy's nice and pure, and he has a lot of potential, and if anything were to ever happen to my male in my main aquarium, at least I got a male for backup. So, and that's again with a lot of the other species I'm keeping. In this tank I'm raising a beautiful German red peacock, as you can see here. He has some girls in the tank that he shows off to. He's bred a couple times, but this tank's a little too dense. I think there's a little too much going on, and that's inhibiting everybody from breeding or looking up to their full potential. Eventually I'd maybe like to put them in their own aquarium and see what I can get out of. Again, you can see the female right at the back there. Looks like she's actually holding, and that's relatively new, so that's good. That's a good sign. And as you can see, I have an egg tumbler in here, and those are some Nairi babies. So like I said, anything that I do have, I do try to maintain like a lineage, and then, you know, like I said, if anything happens to them down the road, I can obviously raise another line up. So other than that, that's the 55. This is the other 55. This is, again, has a little bit of a mixture of everything. Here's my female false red tear or green tear. The back is my red tear female. And this one has a lot of potential. She has a lot of potential red, and she's very well behaved. You know, I've had a couple females in the past, and they were quite something. You know, terror is given to their name for a reason, and but she's well behaved. She doesn't seem to bother anybody else. There's a pair of red marble convicts in here. And again, you know, some of the other fish that just don't mix well with anybody else, they end up in this aquarium. So it's kind of an oddball, all-ball tank, you know, no specific purpose. But again, obviously the purpose long-term is to grow everything out and eventually mix them together with any other fish that I have intended for them. So for example, this red terror female, she has a male to the tank beside her. And he's a beautiful male, and he's got a great personality. I love the Amphilophus family. You know, that's your red tears, your Midas, Choncho type cichlids. They have wonderful personalities. They are all aggressive fish. This guy is awesome though. I'm really looking forward to growing him out. And later on in this video, you'll see that I actually made a huge change to my fish and accommodations. You know, well, one specific main change, but that will affect everything else for down the road. And as you can see, I would love to get him and her together sometime. So I have the tanks beside each other. They can see each other and interact through the glass, but again, not a whole lot of interaction yet. So he looks good. Tank above it is a 20-gallon. Pair of red marble convicts. I got my super red female sitting in the tube. They're extremely shy, still very uncomfortable for some reason around me. Even though I upgraded the tank, I had them in two 5-gallon quarantine tanks sitting beside each other, just so they would get used to each other's company. And then when I put them into the 20-gallon, I figured there would be no question or issue when it came to breeding. But it seems as if she takes one tube, he takes the other. They seem to get along very well with each other, but the interaction has been very minimal. So a little disappointed. I'm giving, you know, them a little bit of time, obviously, and more time. I'm sure they'll produce a lot of fry for me. So other than that, the 135. Below it, I got my four 5.5-gallon quarantine aquariums. This is a tank that held a bunch of fish that I picked up from, you know, Mississauga, Toronto area a couple weeks ago. I just did an unboxing video. I'll put that in the link below. And everybody's still doing well. You know, as you can see, the whiptail cats look good. At the back, you know, I got all the upside down catfish hanging out in the current. Dwarf pike cichlid, the medicine fish, the gararufas. Everything's done well. It was actually a very good pickup, and I haven't had anything pass away on me. So other than that, here's the marble goby. He was doing quite well. I had to move him from the 15-gallon. I introduced him and put him in with my pike cichlid and all my Polypterus species, but my pike really did not like him. I gave him a couple days to get acquainted, but it didn't seem as if the pike would let up on this guy. So he's in a 5.5-gallon now, but I will definitely be upgrading him sooner. And I'm just trying to get his appetite back and get him eating really, really well before I basically introduce him to some tank down the road. So other than that, marble gobies are hardy as can be. He's doing what he's doing, lounging around, and I'm sure he'll be perfectly fine. This tank just houses a bunch of peacock and hap fry. And here's the 35-gallon grow out. We've got a lot going on in this tank. Nice Julie Malarai, perfect condition. I would love to throw into my display tank down the road. And check out this OB. Absolutely stunning. Actually, I've never seen such unique coloring on one. I have some beautiful younger males that might potentially turn out incredible, but this guy is quite stunning. And actually, this guy came from ROBOZWORLD. He has a YouTube channel also. It just happens that Robo is lives actually very close to me, about 20 minutes away, and I seen one of his ads. Actually, I think in his last video he was just kind of going over some of the grow outs and fish he had for sale. So I inquired about this guy, and he sold them to me. So thanks, Rob. Really appreciate it, and he's doing really, really well. And I'll keep an eye on him. You know, I know he's very aggressive, and if he gets out of, how can I say, gets out of hand, I got a lot of tanks to throw him in. So he's doing well. Lawanda's doing nicely. I have a beautiful red-tailed shark that I'd love to see something nice come from him. Obviously, it's a good fish. They tend to do quite well with, you know, a more medium aggression environment. I've seen some red tails get super aggressive though, where like they were in African cichlid tanks and basically smashing the Africans. So whenever you get a red tail shark that gets to about that size, you know, around 3.5, 4 inches, they can hold their own pretty well. I got a couple fancy plecos hiding as usual. Below is my other 35-gallon quarantine aquarium. I have my redfin botia in there. I have a beautiful yo-yo loach in there. All you can see is his tail. Unfortunately, he's got crazy markings. I have a bleaker eye up here. But everybody in this tank for some reason is really shy. Everybody's doing well and everybody eats, but everybody likes to hide under this log most of the time. So other than that, here's my fry. These are all red marble convict fry, and I do have some of the Dovai wolf cichlid fry still in here. They're doing really well. Actually, to mention, I've had inquiries about them. As you can see, they're doing really well. There's about 20 individuals. Some are growing out, and to my surprise, they are actually quite passive. They look a lot more like Dovai than they do red tigers or Motaguents, but what I'm really happy about is that they don't have a bad attitude. When I was raising Dovai fry, even at this size, they were relentless on each other, and I had so much fry that I had to basically grow them out in 3 different aquariums. So anything that was getting picked on too much had to go into a smaller aquarium, just so, you know, they didn't get constantly beat up and stressed out and, you know, obviously croak from that. So I'm very happy with these crosses, the tiger wolf. They seem to be very well behaved, and again, it's really funny because they look more like Dovai than they do tigers. But obviously I'm going to grow out a few just for myself and see how they become down the road. Guarantee that they still become quite an aggressive fish, but at this size, they're showing really little to no aggression, so that's a bonus. So back to this tank. Again, it's just full of red marble convict fry, basically. A few others in there, you know, some electric yellow fry and some red top zebras. But other than that, it's just a grow out aquarium. And I do regular water changes on it just to try to get these guys' growth up. I feed them decapsulized brine shrimp, but overall everything's doing well. Below, this is a real cool tank. I have another unboxing video for you guys in probably a couple weeks, and it's going to basically include all these fish. As you can see, here's another variety of what they call marble dragon gobies, and I found out that they are actually a variety of mud skipper. Really cool. They seem to be fully aquatic, and what I really like about this guy is that they're very hardy and they are not picky. My other fish that I did a video of not too long ago, where I was clueless as to what it was, he's doing very well, but he eats basically only decapsulized brine shrimp, so he's very picky. Compared to these guys, they'll eat anything. I have some Diadema longibarba, or longibarbus or something like that. They call it what do they call it? It's not a hoplo cat. Now I'm drawing a blank, but really, really cool catfish. Love these guys. They're very closely related to the armored, and again, very good community fish, very peaceful. So if you're looking for a good scavenger, that's a very good choice. Then again, obviously a bunch of other varieties of loaches, a couple varieties of hill stream type loaches, and pick up some nice queen botillas. So other than that, that's the fish room. And now let's make our way to the living room. So this is obviously my main display aquarium. It's full of African cichlids with exception to one marble convict in it. And as you can see from actually a couple of my last previous videos, my intent with this tank is to try to showcase as much color as I can. There are still a few species that are missing from the tank, and the species that are currently in the aquarium, they're growing out. As you can see, you know, probably from my previous fish room update video, you'll notice that the electric yellows and some of the other blue strained fish were probably a little bit smaller then, but are now nicely filling out. So maybe in another 6 months some of these fish will be closer to their full adult size, and then I will obviously have achieved what I've wanted to basically do with the aquarium. But other than that, everything's doing well. This is an old established tank that, you know, I've used for a couple other purposes over the years. But as you can see, you know, can't go without my dominant dragon's blood. He's in charge of this aquarium. He keeps everybody under control. You know, basically, you know, the sunshine peacock, otter point peacock. This tank again is just a good mixture of a little bit of everything. So other than that, you know, I have a beautiful OB peacock at the back here, a real showcase male. But again, in a tank like this, he cannot showcase his dominance, or at this point establish himself as dominant. But hopefully in time, once he hits maturity, either I can keep him in this aquarium, or I'm going to separate him and put him into his own aquarium, and possibly breed him with a bunch of females. So other than that, that's the 120, and let's work our way downstairs. So here we are downstairs. I'm now sitting in front of one of my 275-gallon tanks. The tank that you see in front of me has been dedicated to a pair of red tiger motoguents, who are very shy, and the male never seems to come out, which has been a real disappointment considering the lengths that I went to get these fish and the time that it's taken me to grow them out to an adult, you know, size, and selecting, you know, a really nice pair for myself. You can see the female. She's hiding behind or underneath the heater there, and I'm going to try to entice her out by throwing some food in so you guys can get a little bit of a better idea. She's really, really beautiful, and I'm hoping that I can get something out of her. Again, these are smart fish, and they're hesitant, you know, to begin with. You know, to earn their trust is very difficult, but they're intelligent in the fact that she recognizes that, you know, I have a camera in my hand, and it's something that she's not accustomed to or used to. So as you can see, she just kind of took off and hid behind the main rock there. The male's underneath the tank, or underneath the rock as well. I'm going to see if I can still entice her out for you, because I've done a lot of videos since I've purchased these fish, but I've never been able to showcase them. So again, a bit of a disappointment. As you can see, they didn't come out. They didn't even consider looking at the food. But hunger usually wins over anything, so if I'm patient enough, I'm sure she might come out for a quick glimpse. But if not, it's just again another fish that I'll have to update and keep you guys posted with following update videos of the tank. So if I can't get her to smile for you, I'll just have to get her to do it at another time. So I'm just seeing, before I move up to the tank above, just kind of creeping out. There you go. So you can get a little bit of an idea. She's in somewhat breeding dress, not completely, but you can see why I went to the, you know, the depths that I did to try to find this fish. I'm a huge Parachromis fan, and in my opinion, the red tiger motoguents, the female, has got to be one of the most beautiful looking cichlids that you can actually even purchase. So she's doing well. Male's well, but he's shy. But I'm happy that you guys finally got to see a little glimpse of her. So that's that tank. Now I'm going to move up to the 75 above. And before I stand up and scare everybody back into their hole, you can see everybody's out a little bit. So this is my Atabapo female pike cichlid. She is quite aggressive. As I was mentioning earlier, that marble sleeper goby did not seem to fit too well in this aquarium. There's a couple massive striped Raphael catfish. And these were the catfish that I had in the Dovi tank. But now I've moved everything into the 75 gallon. This was originally my planted aquarium, and I just finally got sick and tired of it. You know, I had very little success. You know, I had a very nice light fixture, four foot high output T5 bulbs. In the beginning, everything was growing really well. I went through some algae stages. Once I finally neutralized the algae, maybe the spectrum and the bulbs were not as powerful, but the plants after that just did not take. So basically, I gave up on this tank. I moved all my plants to another tank, the last tank in this video, and that's where I'll give you guys the big update or surprise. So other than that, you can see he's housed with the two big striped Raphaels. There's a giant bumblebee catfish also in the tank. A few varieties of Polypterus, that's Ornata pinus. I believe that's Ansorgai. And my Tegalezi, or Tegalezu, or whatever. He's hiding behind here. He's also in the tank. So other than that, kind of a predator style aquarium. Not much going on. And not 100% as to what I want to do with this tank. So let's move on to my last tank of the day. So here's the last tank of the day. This was my former Dovi's aquarium. And that's the big surprise. No Dovi. I had that guy for a long time, probably about 7-8 years. I grew him up from basically a 2-inch fish. And it got to a point where he just outgrew this aquarium. And I played and pondered the idea a couple times. I went out and got prices on some custom aquariums for him. I was looking at a 7-foot tank by 26-inch by 26-inch, obviously width and height. I think that was around maybe a 240, 250. I was very close to, you know, biting the bullet and buying that aquarium on a couple occasions. But my gut was always just kind of telling me that I think I'm at a max. You know, us aquarium keepers, the problem is that, you know, we can never get enough. And if we can, we'd have as many tanks as fish as possible. But I think I really reached my limit, especially being at this house that I'm at here. I've maximized my space, and I really did not want another aquarium. So what I did with the Dovi, I know a guy who has a few very large aquariums, and he had one large aquarium available, and he was interested in a female Dovi of mine in the past. So basically I contacted him, and he was very willing to take on the Dovi, the Terror, and I basically donated it to him for free. You know, keeping a fish like that, I had other inquiries, but if I really don't know where or who it's going to, he was like, you know, your pet dog. You know, I couldn't just give him up to someone I never met before, because keeping a fish like that is quite a bit of responsibility. We have our ups and downs, but I just wanted someone that I knew would dedicate, you know, a lot of time and you know, effort to keeping that Dovi as happy as he could. So he's off to a new home. He's happy. He's doing well. And like I said, when I took him out and I measured him, he was 17.5 inches, which is quite awesome. You know, again, I'd love to see him get around the 20-inch mark, you know, if possible. But in order for me to do that, I'd have to upgrade the aquarium. And like I said, you know, I had a spot for it, but just something was holding me back the whole time, and I decided to give him a good new home. So that said, now the 135 is a community aquarium, and as you can see, you know, I have my Harlequin rasboras, I got my rose line sharks, I got a little bit of everything going on in this aquarium. The remnants of the plants that I did keep in that planted tank are in the aquarium. Obviously the hardy species like the crypts, some of the Amazon swords did okay, but I decided that, you know, it was time for a change. I've always been interested in doing a larger, smaller, you know, community type aquarium. So a lot of small community fish in, say, a bigger 6-foot tank, giving them all the space to swim. And it's awesome because obviously the fish in here are interacting and schooling better than they did in the 75. I have a lot of bottom dwellers. I'm going to scroll in on some. And as I scroll on, they all take off. But this tank is basically, I was debating on going like an Amazon type biotope if the plants don't take in this aquarium. And the reason I'm saying that is this tank actually gets some direct sunlight during the day. So anytime I've grown plants in direct sunlight, I've been very, very successful. Obviously there's no better source, but if they can get some of these sad plants back up to an excellent standard, then, you know, I'm going to definitely go Amazon biotope with the aquarium. Maybe a nice large school of Buenos Aires tetras, but if not, I'm going to try to dedicate this tank to like a hill stream style, you know, aquarium. So I'm going to, as you can see, I got the nice power head up here. Maybe I'll add another additional one for more flow. I'll make it a rocky bottom. And then all those hill stream type loaches that I have upstairs, including the ones I have in this tank, you know, I'll give them a real cool natural environment. So like I said, they've kind of tweaked me, the hill stream type loaches. Very cool fish, many different varieties to choose from, lots of personality. And like I said, this tank can end up either or. So if the plants do well, I'll stick with it. If not, it's going to be a hill stream environment. Increase the water flow and get a bunch more, you know, butterfly type loaches and hill stream loaches in the aquarium, and shoot some really, really cool videos for you. So to all those that are, you know, huge fan of my Dovi, sorry I can't keep them, you know, I couldn't keep him forever. I did have an intent to do that. But he is now in a nice new home, and like I said, you know, I'll continuously bring you guys new and interesting species, so stay tuned. And I guess that's the end of this fish room update this time, and thanks for watching, everybody.